Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, weeping, which forces her husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. Hare Krishna. We will chant the Mangala Charan prayer. If you do know it, please chant alongside with me. Hare Krishna. Om Agnantimirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishnabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, what we can understand from this verse and Srila Prabhupada's purport is two main themes. That is the test of attachment that we all have to this and that. And the other is what is the devotional aspect of it. So the background we've been hearing for many weeks now that Sati wants to attend. The previous backstory is that Daksha was creating a big yagya sacrifice. Everyone was invited and he insulted Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva did not stand. As was the etiquette, when a king enters the assembly, everybody stands as a sign of respect. But Shiva didn't do so. Why he didn't do so? Because he was absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. He was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of God. He was meditating. And what this tells us is a person who's fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is above all the rules, regulations, etiquette, social niceties, this, that, whatever there is. He's above that. He's in a spiritual position, whereas all of us are on a lower position of the material uh, consciousness. So obviously, we all know spiritual consciousness is above the material consciousness. So when Lord Shiva didn't stand, it was okay. But Daksha, he really got very upset and he started abusing him and cursing him. The whole assembly then took sides, and we know what happens there. So then after that, he had another big yagya, and everyone was invited. But this time, he did not invite Lord Shiva. And by extension, since Sati is Lord Shiva's wife, she also didn't get the invite. Now, Sati is the daughter of Daksha. So obviously there is familial attachment, there's love, emotions involved over here. So she very much wanted to go. Imagine there's a family uh, wedding. There's a wedding soon in our congregation. There will be a wedding. There is a wedding in your family, and let's say it is someone very close to you, your sibling, and your sibling's child is getting married, and you aren't invited for that, and everyone is going to be there. So, how would you feel? You obviously would like to attend that wedding, and you say, oh, it's okay. In family, there's no formality. You don't need invitation. In fact, there is this saying, if somebody forgets to invite and the other person reminds him, so, oh, you didn't send me an invite. And the response is, in a light vein, they say, अपने को थोड़ी invitation देना पड़ता है. That means those who are ours don't require invitation. Anyway, so Sati is torn between the emotional attachment for her family and obedience to her husband. This is a very loaded word, especially in this time where people talk about women's liberation, women's equality. In one sense, it is everyone is equal. Krishna is not partial to anybody. And this male, female, these are all bodily designation. But based on your physiognomy, there's a certain aspect that men are better suited for and women are better suited for, not just by the physical, but also the uh, psychological, the mental. It's better suited for. Anyway, what is happening is there's a whole disturbance in everything around. And as Kali Yuga goes around, it will be more and more disturbed. So now the traditional way is that there is a head of the family, and that head of the family, all those who are in the family are subservient. Whenever we talk about subservience or whenever we talk about servant, our conditioning is that it is a very low position. But actually, in a spiritual context, the person who serves is the highest position. It's here we have master and servant, but in the spiritual context, the servant is the higher position. So that way, when the person in a spiritual context, there's no exploitation. However, in the material context, everyone wants to be a master simply because we want to exploit and enjoy whatever are those resources. And naturally, no one likes to be exploited. And therefore, this whole movement of women's liberation has come. It has come about because of exploitation. Anyway, so she's torn between her emotional attachment and the obedience to her spiritually realized husbands, Hare Krishna. And whilst this conflict is going on, of course, she has a lot of love and attachment to Lord Shiva also. She also has a duty towards him. And then she has this familial affection. So she was very disturbed. And that disturbance in her mind was manifesting in the physical uh, form. Her body was trembling and she was crying and going from here and there. Um, and Lord Shiva, he is, all the time absorbed doing his japa, thinking of Krishna. And he noticed this is what he's going, but he has kept quiet. He's watching it like um, like how do you, a neutral party. He's not saying anything. He's simply watching it. Now, it there is a lot of physical, emotional, and even spiritual conflict going on in Mother Sati's mind. So, what is Prabhupada saying over here? So, there are certain key words which Prabhupada has stressed on, and that is Aprati Purusham. That means who is Lord Shiva? Apati Purusham, meaning he's unique. No one is equal to him in tolerance and detachment. He is topmost, even his tattva. We are Jivatmas, there is Krishna, that is the Vishnu tattva, the topmost. No one can be higher or equal to Vishnu tattva. And in the middle is Shiva. So Shiva is also an expansion of Krishna in his expansion energy of ignorance. So that's who Shiva is, correct? And no one can equal him, but also as a great devotee, no one can equal him in tolerance and detachment. These two words are quite significant, dear devotees. The more a person is detached, the more tolerant he'll be. The more things we are attached to, the more intolerant we'll be. So, tolerance and detachment. The more we can tolerate good, bad, respect, disrespect, whatever, all these dualities of the material world, that's the nature of the material dualities. The more we can tolerate, the more we can become detached. And the more we become detached, the more we can become tolerate. But how do you do it? You can only be detached. So tolerance comes through detachment. And detachment doesn't happen by magic. Detachment can come about only when there is attachment. And the question is attachment from what? If I'm getting detached from everything around me, what am I getting attached to? We are getting attached to something higher, spiritual. So detachment from all that is material and getting attached to spiritual. So does this mean that, especially us as Grastis, detachment doesn't mean you renounce and give up everything? No, detachment is that detachment from this desire to enjoy the sense gratification and everything, whichever is there, we look at it with a view of how can this serve me? How can I enjoy this, whether it is an object or whether it is another human or another entity. That's how we are caught up, and we have attachments to this and that, whatever there is. So this is very important to understand that when a person, correct, is tolerant and detachment, the platform on which this can happen is only on the spiritual platform. Otherwise, it is just a very shaky proposal. It's only a matter of time where everything comes crumbling down. Hare Krishna. Then also, she was so angry with Shiva, it's almost as though she would burn him with her eyes. They say those murderous looks. So here, Prabhupada has said that this is kind of an indication of her suicidal tendency, meaning to say that Shiva also means the Atma. So when she is getting so much of anger that she wants to destroy, it is Atma is who we are Atma, correct? So trying to destroy Atma can never be destroyed. Trying to destroy that Atma is suicide. The word in Hindi is Atma Hatya. Suicide is called Atma Hatya, killing of the self, the soul. But self can never be, but it is a phrase. So that's what is there. So, what can we learn from this, dear devotees? What lessons can we get from this? One is sentimental attachment, right? There is something called affection. Everyone has affection because primarily, fundamentally, the spirit soul has two main functions. One is to love, and the other is to be loved. The issue is in a material condition, this propensity is misdirected to other things, whatever it be, to love and to be loved. But it is there, fundamental to love and be loved. And after that is everything else: food, clothing, shelter, physical needs, emotional needs, whatever else is there on top of that. But the fundamental, the core is to love and to be loved. Hare Krishna. Now, our attachments and sentiments is how we feel. Um, that is something that we should observe all the time. Why is it I'm feeling this way? What is causing me this? So actually, in the corporate world, there is a philosophy for what they call the root cause analysis. Then things aren't going right. They call it the 5 Why, WHY, the 5 Why principle, and it came from Toyota Motor Company. When something is going wrong, you ask, okay, why is it I cannot do my japa properly? We'll get an answer. I can't do my japa properly because inattention. And most of us accept the first answer that we find as the cause. of that. But that's really not the cause. Then you iterate and then you ask a question. Why is it I'm inattentive? I'm inattentive because my mind gets distracted by so many things around me. Okay. Then again ask, why is my mind so uh, uh, why does my mind get distracted? Like this, if you go through iterations, by the fifth iteration, typically you'll come to what is the root cause. So there is a root cause of a problem, and from that problem, everything else on top, it keeps layering on top of that. So therefore, we should be very careful about how we think, how we speak, how we behave. And sure, we are prone to error. That is the nature of material condition. We should be reflective as to why. Why this? Why? Keep asking these questions. So, uh, affection is natural, but if it is rooted in Krishna consciousness, then it is of a um, higher quality. Otherwise, it is as they say, raste ka mal sasta, that whatever is sold on the roadside is cheap, there's no quality, and it won't last. And that's what this whole material condition is. However, that same affection, where it is centered around Krishna. So this is not my family. This is Krishna's family, and I'm the caretaker. This is not my house. This is Krishna's house, and I'm the caretaker. This is not my job. I have the abilities provided by Krishna. And by me going to work, I'm able to take care of Krishna's family. I'm able to serve. The mortgage that we pay becomes an act of a devotional service. So that should be our consciousness, Krishna consciousness. The second important instruction we get from here is, we should respect the advice of those who are spiritually advanced. Now, Shiva wasn't telling Sati not to go because, oh, he insulted me, then how can you go? Because you're my wife. What will it look like? It'll further put my position down that, oh, you have insulted him, but yet his wife is coming and mingling with those who have insulted. No, it wasn't because of that. Shiva was doing it because of protection. He knows what is Daksha's nature. And he will, because Sati is married to him, by extension, she is Shiva's, he will insult her. He won't care whether. And that's exactly what happens. So this is what Shiva uh, is doing out of protection. So whenever we um, heed to the advice, to the counsel of uh, uh, spiritually advanced people in such a situation, it protects us. That is the protection. You see some devotees wearing the Narsinga kavach. It's like a garland made of cloth kind of a thing. That's the physical. But when our attitude, the consciousness, is to be obedient to the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, that protects us. It protects our um, uh, physical, it protects our mental, it protects our spiritual. Hare Krishna. Then what happens is that there are Matajis and there are Prabhus, and both have the equal opportunity. There is nothing which is, how they say in corporate world, is equal uh, equal employment opportunity. What is it? Equal opportunity employer or something. So there's no discrimination. Actually, there's always discrimination because each one is involved, interested only in what's in it for me, not for the other person. Corporations are interested in profit, and people are just tools like machineries who will help the corporation achieve that particular profit. However, right, the spiritual, both male and female, there is no such thing as personal profit. Everyone is engaged in serving Krishna, and that opportunity is there for everybody. Hare Krishna. So, what happens over here when Matajis are in devotional services? Matajis also have a certain profile, a makeup, not just the physical, but even the emotional and the mental. And Matajis are more generally are more emotional than Prabhus. So, in such a situation, that when there is anything out of the ordinary, it has a tendency to disturb them a lot. So that is the again to become reflective. Not to say that Prabhus are uh, above. No, Prabhus are not superior. Matajis and Prabhujis both have the equal opportunity, but because of the profiles of Matajis, they can tend to get disturbed easily. And then it is how we can respond when things don't go our way. How do we behave? Do we behave like a spoiled toddler? You see sometimes in public when the mother tells the little kid, 2, 3 years old, no, you cannot get this chocolate or whatever it is. They fall down on the floor and they start throwing a tantrum like that. But it is not restricted to children. Even us, we adults, throw tantrums. So when things don't go our way, how do we react to it? And our maturity, our spiritual maturity is tested when moments of emotional upheavals. So whenever there is something someone does and we don't like, and how we respond to it shows how spiritually advanced or how much more work we require. Hare Krishna. So for Grahastis, Lord Shiva is a Grahasti. What is the relevance of this? So for us, it is always, family versus spiritual priorities. So there is just always the struggle going on, what to do, what to do. Now, as I told you, there will be a wedding, and of course, that wedding is a spiritual gathering. But many a times, we have to maintain social relations, and there is a wedding in the family, and that wedding need not necessarily be a spiritual gathering. They will be having all these Bollywood songs, and there will be all the four regulative principles being broken, or whatever, at least most of the spiritual principles being broken. And now you're coming in over that environment. You have to go. You cannot say, no, I'm not going. You can say, but you need to maintain relationships. So there is this priority. What do I do? But if you maintain your sadhana in a very nice and polite way, people accommodate people accommodate. So if you go for the wedding, and your relatives know that you don't eat onion garlic, they will make for you sattvic special order for you. And if by chance there isn't, then that's where how we can be respectful, we participate. We don't make a big show out of it. And that's fine. My sadhana, I will eat only prasadam. So what happens is that there is many a times a struggle between what our devotional commitments uh, and practices are versus the world. It's us versus them kind of a situation. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't compromise, but at the same time, it shouldn't put us in a position of feeling superior. Oh, I'm a devotee. You are caught in all this material world, Karmi. No, that's not how it is. And the other thing to note, dear devotees, is detachment doesn't mean you're being cold and heartless. Detachment is not that kind of a detachment is not austerity. I was listening to, there's a very famous spiritualist, speaks very well. Uh, he has excellent oratory skills and on stage, and he's a world figure. Um, and he has picked up things from here and there of the Shastra, and he presents it to the and people get, oh, so nice. And there was another person on a stage, he had a debate. And then the spiritualist starts by saying that, the senses are imperfect. And then the atheist jumped on that. He's saying this is what spiritualists do. They first come out and say that your senses are imperfect, that your senses cannot be relied on. It's shaky. And then you start wondering. And then the next thing they tell you that from an authority, this is what it is. So you don't make use of your senses. You don't make use of your logic. You only listen and do what you're told. It is just like an animal. It is just like a fool. Stupid people do that. That's the definition. Stupid people don't use their intelligence. Stupid people don't use their logic. And they just follow what they have been told. This is what he came up with. Now, if you think about it, his argument makes sense. If just at the face of it, that you just do what you're told, and because it has come from an authority. But if you actually notice it, the senses are imperfect, and it's not very difficult to prove senses are imperfect. My eyes are weak. That's why I use glasses. Now, there are people who have perfect 20/20 vision, but even that is limited 20/20 vision when compared to an eagle, a big eagle way up in the sky, several hundreds of feet up in the sky, can see a small little prayer with full clarity on the earth, and he can come zooming down soup and eat precision, catch it. So, like this, our senses are imperfect and it is limited. Similarly, physically, we can understand it. Similarly, our intellectual capacity is also faulty and limited. So, what we can understand from this when it is coming from an authority, Prabhupada has given the final instruction, dear devotees, and will bring the class to a close. The final instruction Prabhupada has given, uh, the final point which I'll make, Prabhupada has said, surrender with intelligence. Do not surrender your intelligence. So, yes, when there are things being spoken, you see the bona fides of that person. Is he actually practicing what he is preaching? And based on that, you have this, Krishna has given us this ability. Think about it and ask. Ask to know. Ask to having a doubt isn't arrogance. Having a doubt and wanting to know and wanting to clarify, understand the subject better. It is better to have a doubt than just simply. That's why these questions and answers and these sanghas are very, very important. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees. Apologies, I went 2 minutes over time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Over to you, Madhupati Prabhu.
Thank you very much. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. I would like to offer our praise to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nrsingo Jai, Nrsingo Jai, Jai Nrsingo. Praladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringam. Ugra Veera Mahavishnu Sarvatomukam. Nrsingham Vishnu Bhadram Nityam Nityam Namamyam. Nrsinga Bhagwan ki Jai, Prahlad ki Jai.
Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha Kalpataru Sindhu Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Granthras Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.